This is Pearl Harbor as you see it today. It's quiet and tranquil from a distance. That's because you can't see the 4,180 workers that labor 24 hours a day to keep ships and submarines up and running. But it didn't always look like this. Before the 1900s, Hawaiians called it Waimomi, or Harbor of Pearl, because of the numerous oysters that lined the ocean floor. In 1887, King Kalakaua granted the U.S. exclusive rights to the area. The reason? He saw it as a way to export sugar without having to pay tariffs, and he saw the U.S. as a powerful friend.
Here, remember, there had been an early settlement of the Russians in Kauai, and the British had come in their rediscovery mission. So this was a very vulnerable place.
In return, the U.S. got to develop a coaling and repair station in the middle of the Pacific, and that's all it was really for years, until a perceived threat by the Japanese.
Japan at a certain point sends over a battle cruiser to park between two American ships in Honolulu Harbor to send a message regarding what they perceived as ill treatment of their immigrants who are coming over here from Japan. So there's a recognition in Congress that action needs to be taken, and fairly quickly, to start building up the facilities here at Pearl Harbor, specifically Navy Yard, Pearl Harbor.
So on May 13, 1908, Pearl Harbor is born. Congress authorized work to dredge the channel and begin construction of Dry Dock 1. 2 years later, with $3 million funding, the dredging began.
As we're doing this, one of the local kahunas is trying to tell the workers that this is the home of the shark goddess. You have to ask permission, you have to have a blessing before you do that. Well, the people who were in charge weren't from Hawaii. They didn't understand the warning.
So they didn't stop, and 3.5 years in, with the work almost finished, Dry Dock 1 collapsed. Most blame sloppy engineering, but just to be sure, as reconstruction began, they held a small private ceremony and a Hawaiian blessing to appease the shark goddess. They finally completed Dry Dock 1 in 1919. By then, the Navy had also purchased Ford Island from Dr. Seth Ford, a Boston physician who worked at the Marine Hospital. In 1925, dredging began to create the naval base. Things slowed down during the Great Depression, but with the threat of war looming, construction escalates in 1940. Congress approves $14 million to build Dry Docks 2 and 3 and a new power plant. Then on December 7th,
1921, a date which will live in infamy.
there are many stories of tragedy and triumph from that fateful day, and several more that followed. June 1st, 1942, the USS Yorktown pulls into harbor, badly damaged after a direct hit from an enemy bomb. 1,400 shipyard workers labor around the clock and miraculously finish a 4-month job in just 2 days. During the war, the work staff reaches its peak, 25,000 civilian workers and another 7,000 military personnel. There are so many employees at this point that military housing expands well beyond the shipyard that you see today.
What you see is just row upon row of Quonset huts, and up until 15 years ago, you could still see them out in the West Lock area and Waipio Point. But what people don't realize, when they go to the stadium, there was an entire city built in there for workers that stretched all the way up Halava Valley. So the landscape changed dramatically.
Sports played a big part in boosting morale. Check out this picture from Pearl Harbor's Furlong Stadium in 1945 at a football game. Look at that. It seems KGMB's been covering the shipyard since back in the radio days. Of course, after 1945, employment declines, but there are spikes, like during the Korean and Cold Wars, and as dictated by demand. Still, the significance of this place never changes, not just historically, but now and for generations ahead. And as we embark on a century of work, courage, and sacrifice, it's important to look back at the men and women who kept our Navy fit to fight. I'm Steve Uehara, KGMB 9 News.
Well, Red Rock has been up and running for a year and a half now, and one program we saw allows some Hawaii inmates to let off some steam. As the sun sets in Elroy, Arizona, you can hear the sounds of Red Rock Prison.
Go floor officer.
Here, clanking doors are a familiar sound, but inside, something unexpected. dozens of Hawaii inmates are practicing song and dance, hoping to find redemption in their ancient culture. About 100 island prisoners meet for an hour on Fridays under the guidance of a church chaplain.
This class and this experience brings us together, and it gets rid of the division and makes us all be brothers.
My culture, my religious side, you know, it keeps me home, keeps me free.
And free is something Eric Kalani Vance is not.
I have a life sentence with the possibility of parole.
On the streets, Vance was a career criminal. After more than 40 arrests, from car theft to prostitution, Christmas Eve of 2000, he robbed Angie's Market in Kaneohe. He shot the owner in the head and left his body in a Waimanalo dumpster. 3 months later, he tried to escape from OCCC, getting over the razor wire by protecting his hands with slippers. But Vance was busted on the other side. Now, 7 years into his sentence, he's in Red Rock teaching hula.
They give us some time, an hour a day, to practice in a rec yard. So just before this, we was practicing hard out there.
After celebrating King Kamehameha Day, these inmates are now preparing for Makahiki, the Hawaiian New Year. Community activists say cultural programs are important for inmate rehabilitation.
Many people might say the reason why you're here is because you broke the white man's laws, but really, if you think about it, many of you might be here because you broke the sacred laws of your tupuna.
Back in Hawaii, Carrie Ann Shirota helps criminals re-enter society. She flew all the way from Maui to bring hope.
No matter how crooked your past may have been, you know, today is a new day. Look forward, keep moving forward, and keep walking Keala Pono, the path of righteousness.
Red Rock Prison incarcerates almost 500 Hawaii inmates. Saguaro next door is home to even more. Both facilities are trying to bring local flavor into the daily routine.
We have pork on the menu. We serve fresh whole muscle fish once a week. We also have a rice bar, and believe it or not, the inmates are very interested in having Spam, so we have Spam and eggs for breakfast one day a week.
Inmates at Saguaro eat 4,700 pounds of rice a week. It's a taste of Hawaii, but nothing like the real thing.
I'd rather be back home with my family, so, you know, close to them.
And that's the wish Shirota has, even for Vance, to keep them all closer to home.
Aloha,
16-year-old Josephine Espinoza is one of the orphans still battling nightmares, both real and imagined.
I was home with my mother and sister, and my father was working outside. My father saw the mudslide coming and screamed at us to run. Then he was hit by a boulder. I ran back to save him, but another boulder hit him and he died. The mud went into our house and sucked me in. It went into my eyes. My last memory of my mother was her shouting at me, my sister, and my father to run and save our lives. When I looked back, I saw stones flying over the village. It looked like birds. It was flying so fast.
The sky rained chaos, a constellation without stars, the heavens without a god.
Later, I could not go back in the house because it was covered by mud. Since coming here, I have nightmares. One of the mountains will have a mudslide.
Her weeks are made of days, which are made of hours, made of eternities.
I miss my mother giving me advice. I miss that I was my father's favorite and he never punished me or made me do chores. I really want to be a teacher because that's what my father wanted me to be. Now I'm really scared for my future. I've lost my parents. Nobody will pay for school or take care of me. I don't know where to live. I have 3 sisters living in other towns, but they're too poor to take me in.
We found something to bring out a rare smile.
Oh yeah, yun. She really knew Jasmine Trias.
You'll always be. The mention of her idol, Hawaii singer Jasmine Trias. Josephine would ask Jasmine to sing her a song, to take her to a different time when life played a sweet melody.
TV makes it look easy, but I quickly found that solving a crime with little evidence involves some fancy technology, lots of detail, and plenty of patience. Behind this corrugated gate on Oahu is a place few people know about. The actual space isn't very impressive, but the crime-solving gadgets are. These are crime scene investigators, but in the FBI, they go by ERT.
We want to make it as painless as possible, but to get the evidence that we need to solve the case.
Special Agent Rachel Bird leads the team of at least 26 full-time and part-time investigators, trained to know where evidence might linger with help from the latest technology. This is the FBI's newest piece of equipment. It's called the Rufus, and it costs a lot of money. But agents say it's helped them do their job a lot more effectively. That's because the $15,000 tool can collect latent fingerprints quickly without touching them in any way. It's also a handheld device that scans a crime scene at a distance with help from a UV light. When prints are located, a photograph is taken through the Rufus and sent to the main FBI lab in Virginia. But the Rufus doesn't replace other traditional methods. We can't show Agent Gary Brown's face because of ongoing investigations, but he shows us a tried and true way to lift fingerprints.
The important part about doing the super glue is that it protects the print from being disturbed.
This method has been widely used on TV shows.
Too bad the car's burnt so badly I'll never get a print.
Never say never.
Vapors from the heated glue find the prints, make them smudge-proof and ready for ID. But sometimes TV shows go overboard with the glue.
CSI will put this in the car, and they'll shut the doors, and they'll put super glue in it, and the whole car all of a sudden becomes fumed. What they don't tell you is that they pretty much have to buy the car now.
The Honolulu team covers the Pacific to Guam, Saipan, and American Samoa. About a year ago, some of them flew to Saipan to investigate a homicide. The year before, there was a trip to the Big Island, also for a murder. The victim in that case was Armand Johnson, his body discovered in Volcanoes National Park with a gunshot wound in the back. It was a big crime scene that involved checking out a couple vehicles. Agents say cars take a long time to process. That's because every time we get into the car, we leave behind hair, clothing fibers, and fingerprints. So an alternate light source, or ALS, was used to easily and quickly detect evidence from the cars. This is a bigger version of the light I was holding. Apparently CSI prefers the flashlight form too, but the results are the same.
And what this does is it causes these hairs and fibers and other things such as body fluids such as semen or saliva and urine to fluoresce.
You have to see the light through orange-tinted lens. A faint glow appears from what could be crucial evidence if this were an actual crime scene. A chemical spray called luminol can also reveal trace evidence.
What you're going to do for this is you're going to spray in one sweeping motion.
Luminol can cover large surfaces like kitchen floors in seconds, and the invisible,
lights out,
becomes visible, even hidden messages.
So you got a couple handprints and a footprint there.
Almost every night, agents see their profession played out on prime time. But some things are made for TV. In real life, DNA results are not instant. Neither is getting an ID from a fingerprint or a hair. In real life, crimes don't get solved in 1 hour.
That's it. Look. This makulele is 60 and over, and the pitcher gotta be 65 and over. They're from all over. Some from Kaneohe, some from Pearl City. I guess we get guys, in the 80s still playing.
I grew up loving baseball. I played baseball all my life. Right now, after playing for so many years, I started getting the bats and balls ready for the game.
So you've been playing this for over...
Oh, long, 35, 45, 55, 65, 35 years, 40 years. Oh, it's good exercise for the old guys. Everybody's retired, right? So it's a good exercise.
Why do this every Sunday?
Oh, the camaraderie, the exercise. Let's actually get together with our old friends. Everybody, we know everybody, so it's really good fun.
When it's time,
when enough is enough. When you're ready, we'll be there. Awakenings by the Sea, where the journey of recovery begins.